was massive.
No, and I just didn't want to go out that way.
Welcome to Engineer versus Designer.
The podcast.
For product designers, engineers, and anyone who's ever tried to invent a better panini maker. My name is Josh, mechanical engineer of SolidSmack.com.
And my name is Adam, industrial designer of CADjunkie.com. Each week's show is broken into 3 head-banging halves.
Yeah.
This week we'll be talking about women in design and the supposed lack thereof, and what, if anything, there should be done about it.
Yes.
So first we'll serve up the top product design stories from this week's news, courtesy of SolidSmack.com.
Followed by techie tips, tricks, and Q&A compliments of CADjunkie.com.
And finally, we'll talk with not one, but 2 very special guests,
Whoa.
Irene Radcliffe and Jen Linnane, 2 of the baddest designer chicks we know, and who, by the way, have never met each other.
Irene and Jennifer, in that order. If you could choose any author in history to tell your life story, which author would you choose? Irene?
I'd like to say Irving Welsh, but my life is not that exciting, which is probably a good thing.
So your life would be a period piece.
I have this book that's called Roadie, The Misunderstood World of a Bike Racer, and it's by Jamie Smith.
Okay, Irene and Jennifer, stay put. We'll be hearing more from you as the show goes on. Speaking of great works of fiction and things, Josh Mings of SolidSmack.com, I hear you got some slightly fictitious news for us this week. What do you got?
That is true, but first, this week's Solid Smack update is brought to you in Synchronous Tech 3D by Siemens PLM. Solid Edge is 3D modeling bliss. Stuff those shaggy stockings with a free 45-day trial of Solid Edge and crank that design into the new year.
Yeah.
Get it now at solidedge.com. All right, so this week we're doing something a little different. I'm going to read you 5 stories from this week's product design news, one of which is completely made up.
He made it up.
Yep, it's fake. So as I read you the stories, I need you to pay close attention and remember which one you think is bogus.
We're not going to tell you the answer on the show, but if you're the first person to answer correctly by commenting on evd1.tv, and I'm sorry, guests, you can't win this.
Nope.
We're going to send you one of our snazzy new EVD t-shirts.
Shirts.
So, ready, set,
Go. How do you spell awesome? ROBOTTS. Robots, people, 3D printed robots to be exact. MyRobotNation.com has launched and brings to you, via the glory of the web, an online custom robot manufacturing machine of beauty. You have a complete UI to create, share, print, and gift your robot overlord creations right in time for the holidays, and something I stayed up way too late playing with last night. Oh, so cool.
It may come as a surprise, but the CAD market you toil through each day is worth $7 billion.
Wow.
John Petty Research released their worldwide CAD market report, and as it turns out, you are also a wee speck in a growing community of 19 million CAD users. Plenty of shoulders to lean on, though, as slow growth continues into next year, and a market headed to the cloud and mobile apps.
Well, speaking of mobile apps, software developer Yahoo Javier Ito has released Forger, a sculpting app for the iPad. If you like ZBrush or Sculptress or have downloaded 123D Sculpt by Autodesk, you'll love this. Forger allows you to import and export OBJ files. Comes with 9 little brushes, and mesh visibility, and masking. It's on the App Store right now for $2.99.
$2.99 is cheap.
Yep.
And what do you do when you can't afford to build a multi-person rocket-propelled hovercraft? Make a movie about it and launch the project on Kickstarter to the chagrin of your parents. That's exactly what Jonathan Stemmons is doing. And he's nearly got the funding to make rocket-powered water/land travel your preferred method of taking the kids to soccer practice in the not-too-distant future.
Finally, how do you slam CAD and fashion couture together? Start an online fashion incubator like Dassault Systems did this week. Fashion Lab is the new site to envision future design tools for designers, stylists, and fancy dressers like Adam. Hit the 3ds.com catwalk to see how fashion design is done and get your whole design digs on.
All right, so I'm just curious. You know, there are more and more 3D printing things coming out, and it's definitely a trend. I'm wondering, is this trendy? Is this actually substantive? So like this week, we have this new business where basically you can go online, you go to their website, you customize a robot, and they basically Z-Corp print it out for you and mail it to you. And I feel like this is getting more and more common, this kind of thing. It's really fun. Do you think there's going to be a lot more of this with serious products, or is it going to stick to just kind of these little tchotchkes for the time
Yeah,
being?
I was going to say, I think I've been to a couple lectures here in Boston, and based on some of the things that they're talking about in terms of mass customization and like DIY trends and things like that, I think there's more and more of that happening. You know, for forever ago, you know, you used to be able to design it was a big deal to be able to design your own sneakers online with Puma or with Nike or whatever. And, you know, most of the shoe companies do that now, but the way that framework is set up with that mass customization technique, I can customize them to make them personal to me, but it's within constraints or within a framework that kind of defines some of the functionality. Sure, it puts some limitations on it, but it's almost like it's not totally free, but it's somewhat free. And maybe some of that kind of thinking translates over to this 3D printing technology. I can see like where it is right now. It's great for something like prototype process or kind of more simple front end or something that you don't expect to last forever. It's more of a, like you're saying, a tchotchke or a temporary kind of thing. But, you know, who's to say that it can't evolve into the next step? It seems like it's an evolutionary step to some of the mass customization stuff that's been, you know, out and about for the last 15 or 20 years anyway.
Yeah, I really think eventually it's going to be a kiosk or a mobile app where we customize what we want and buy it. I mean, we're seeing that happen already with I don't know, things like Blockbuster in the video industry. Those brick and mortar buildings are going away. It's come down to a kiosk that you go and get your movie. So you might not be able to get a scooter out of a kiosk, but you can certainly order one up.
I'm definitely in the wrong line of work here. That sounds way more fun than what I do.
What I want to know is when are they going to make a 3D printer that prints bacon? That's what I want.
Oh, right on. Clothes made of bacon. That's what I'm waiting for.
Didn't Lady Gaga already
Thanks for
say
that
that?
visual.
That was the Lady Gaga costume of the day, right?
Right.
All right, we're going downhill. We'll be right back.
Adam O'Hearn of CADJunkie.com. The time has come to scratch our itchy, moisture-depleted scalps with the back scratcher of knowledge. What have you got for us this week, buddy?
This week's CAD Junkie Q&A is brought to you by Siemens PLM. Solid Edge synchronous technology rocks your face off.
Wow.
With constraint-driven and history-free modeling combined, snag some fresh how-to tips and a 45-day free trial at solidedge.com. So today we're chatting with Irene Radcliffe and Jennifer Linnane, and Josh is trying to see how many golf balls he can fit into his mouth at the same time. Irene and Jen do not know each other, but all right, buddy, that's enough. But we thought it would be interesting to see what would happen if Josh and I were to go up against the two of them in a round of arm wrestling, but that failed to materialize. So instead, we have some questions.
Vicious questions.
We'll start with Irene Radcliffe.
Irene, what do you do?
I work for an EPC company, so I look after and run the CAD systems. So it's mostly piping, I use Bentley, AutoPlan, AutoCAD, Navisworks, all the visualization tools, do customizing, specs, troubleshooting, basically just keep everything ticking over.
Okay, now, Jen, what do you do?
I'm a freelance product designer, and I'm based up in Boston. So I have a few of my own clients, and then I also do a substantial amount of my work consulting with some of the design firms in Boston. So I work on consumer products, medical products, and business products, and then I do a little bit of graphic design on the side.
It's like living a real life variety show.
Pretty much, yeah. That's a great summary of it.
So do you love it?
I love it. I love the fact that you learn about, you know, kind of new technology and new trends and things like that before anybody else does. So, I mean, you're always kind of you know, the front end of discussion, or you always have something to talk about. It's really cool. Each project's just a new challenge and a new adventure. So I find that really exciting.
Okay, so now to both of you and to Josh as well, feel free to chime in here. I want to pose a question to the whole group. So imagine I have a red pill and a blue pill, and I'm all Morpheus style, wearing the cool glasses. And if you take the blue pill, Everybody continues on life as we know it, and everything is fine. Take the red pill, and suddenly CAD no longer exists. Technology is otherwise the same. Nothing else really changes, except that in order to design a product, you have to do it using traditional tools and techniques. EVD guests plus Josh, which pill do you take?
Can I take both of them?
Come on, Josh. All right, I'm going to ask the reasonable people first, and then you can answer your stupid answers. Jen, what do you think? Which pill would you take, Jen?
I have to say mine's probably going to feel a little bit like a cop-out, but I would take the blue pill. But in all defense, I'm not a CAD junkie. And in fact, I use 3D CAD so infrequently because I have such a vast array of different responsibilities that I've never actually gotten truly proficient at it. So it's kind of...
Good for you.
Good
for you.
I guess the blue pill part of things, I love the way, the world is evolving and things like that, but I use so many of my, I guess you're going to call them old school kind of traditional tools and techniques, like you were saying, every day. I mean, I do a ton of sketching. I certainly can work in elevation views and things like that. I am okay in Rhino. I can kind of, I can hold my own, but it takes me a little bit on the front end to kind of get my wits back about me. And I think the part that's hard for me is that I need to see my design vision limited by my CAD skills just because I don't exercise them every day. And that's the thing that I've always struggled with.
So you're saying you can take the blue pill, but then basically get both, where the CAD still exists, you can get to it if you need to, and you can have other people get to it, but then you can still, it doesn't keep you from using traditional techniques.
No, I think I use them more so because a lot of times it's just faster for me, or it allows me to explore more things more quickly. So I'm not kind of, as much as I love technology and I embrace it wholeheartedly, I'm not held back by it. So.
Now, Irene, I'm pretty sure I know what your answer is going to be, but why don't we go ahead and let you answer anyway?
I'm colorblind and I get confused. Well, if I took the red pill, obviously I'd be out of a job. So, but at the same time, sometimes you look back at these old drawings, these that people did on the boards. I mean, I learned on a board, and I guess with the dark background, right, there's just nothing nicer than sitting down a big sheet of paper with this, the markers and everything just in front of you, and just kind of slow, right? Everything slow down a little bit would be nice. I think definitely the CAD technology is so fast, and the people that make the decisions just kind of say, "Oh, just push a button, it'll just come out," right? And sometimes I think with the board, people had an understanding of the process of what it took to actually, like a plant layout and stuff. Whereas,
definitely.
So I would like to say I would take the blue pill, but financially I'd have to take the red one.
Well, I think we've all learned a valuable lesson here today, Josh.
And drugs are bad?
Yeah. But some... What? Did you write the bacon lines? All right. All right, we'll be right back.
All right, and welcome back. Today we're chatting with Irene Radcliffe and Jen Linnane. And Adam is wearing a rubber glove on his head like a hat again.
We brought them on because they are kick-arse designers who work closely with both engineering and design, but also because we're hoping to talk to them a little bit about the elephant in the product design kitchen.
Yes, there simply aren't enough women in design and engineering.
It's a sausage party.
But as with all things in life, engineering
and design
is always better when women are involved.
You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that. So then we come to the real reason why we have the two of you on the show today. We want to know why. Why aren't there more women in product design, and what can we do to change that?
So, Irene, we will start with you. You work primarily in plant design, from doing everything from piping to instrumentation, and you've already told us that you love your job, right? So why aren't more women in this field?
I think, I kind of think back to when I was in school, high school, and graduating. It was never something that I would have considered if I hadn't have accidentally kind of fallen into it. And I think it's just not really pushed enough to girls. I mean, it's a while since I've been in high school, right enough, but it's just kind of still seen as being not a glamorous thing. It's a dirty job. You're climbing around over piping and up tanks, and it's still seen as a very much a kind of a manly job where you've got to have like physical strength as well. And I can tell you it's changing more now here in Alberta with this big labour shortage they really are going after the female workforce now to get into trades and get more involved with the oil patch and the hands-on too. So I don't think it was really kind of marketed right. I think it was just always left as being like a man's domain. But having gone through it and having been doing this for 20-something odd years, it's a fantastic opportunities for women. I mean, there really are. You just have to, just make your bones early and toughen up. And I mean, it's a great career in it for sure.
All right, so Irene is saying that the job is great, the water is fine, women should come join, it's great, but we just don't market it correctly. Jen, it's your turn. You're an industrial designer working on everything from cool sound equipment to medical devices, and you love your job too. So why aren't more women in your field?
It's people don't necessarily understand what the profession is, and if you don't understand it, it's like when you Google anything online. If you don't put the right search words in or don't have the right descriptors or the right information to put in there, you may never find what you're looking for.
True.
So I think that's true of men and women. So I'm not really sure why women specifically aren't necessarily as involved, but.
Well, it's really interesting. So what I seem to be hearing from both of you really is that you don't experience much trouble being a woman in design. It seems to be something you love. It seems to work really well for you. So it seems like the water's fine. And if any young women that are thinking about being designers are listening to this, then they should probably just do it.
If you have questions, you can ask another designer, being male or female, and they can probably give you a good answer. But probably the female mentality might give you a little bit more confidence that, it's really not that intimidating, or it doesn't need to be that intimidating in terms of jumping in. The water really is good. I mean, you'll enjoy it once you're in it.
I guess I'll see what happens when they start. As you said, they've got this campaign out here now to really attract women into more the skilled trades, right? Which includes doing the piping and whatnot. And let's see how that works out. They're expecting to have to import about 77,000 workers to Alberta over the next 10 years, just to keep up with the oil and gas up north. I mean, that's a lot of people to bring in, and they've got this huge amount of people here, and particularly, like you said, the women, right? I mean, if they can attract them to come into the design field, right? We'll see how the numbers come up, and I'll see how many juniors we start getting in that are girls instead of boys. It's always boys. So see how their advertising works, right? And the recruiting campaigns for the apprenticeship programs too.
Oh, well, friends, I'm afraid we are out of time. Irene and Jennifer, in earlier brainstorms for this show, we'd considered dressing me up as a woman, and this was a much better idea. Thanks so much for being with us.
Absolute pleasure. Always madness.
It's a podcast, so we'll never actually know if you actually did it and you're not telling us.
Yep, he's wearing it right now. That's true. If you would like to send large shipping containers of double fudge brownies to EVDHQ, please address them to Josh.
And if you want to send moldy 6-month-old brownies, address those to Josh as well.
I'll
Engineer
take
versus Designer appreciates your comments. If you listen to the show and you like it, hate it, or whatever, head over to engineerversusdesigner.com and let her rip. Insults are welcome as always.
And if you want to see us try to become nerdcore hip-hop superstars, be sure to like us, +1 us, follow us, or whatever, as social media has been correlated with Tweet Geek Elite. Can I get a beat? Some people say I'm criminal. Adam is the seminal. Facebook masha, Google Plus smasha.
I was going to beatbox to that, but
hurts.
This show was edited by
gosh,
Simon Martin.
hurts.
Our theme music is by Ross Hartman. Special thanks this week to Daniel Cunningham for rocking the drums and remastering the theme music.
Sweet.
We are loving it.
We'll see you next week. And remember, without engineers, designers would paint everything bubblegum colors and die from the paint fumes.
And without designers, engineers would paint everything gray and die alone.
Dr. Evil.
Fat